else to join the call. I'm Matt Hayes, Program Manager at Air Force CyberWorx. With me, I have Stewart, the Portfolio Director, and our Project Intermediary Program Manager. Also online from the PIA is Kirsten, who will be monitoring questions. So if you have questions, you can throw them in LinkedIn, or you can also put them in the chat here via the live portal on LinkedIn. So, and we have one question come in early, so I will pull that up and we can start there. Well, first I'll start with who Air Force CyberWorx is, what we do, where we are, and how we engage with industry and our government customers. So Air Force CyberWorx is a Department of the Air Force innovation organization. We are part of Air Combat Command out of Langley Air Force Base, and then we are homed and housed at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. We work for the Airmen and Guardian, work for them, with them, to get what they need. We are more than just cyber. We are also emerging tech, trying to get emerging tech to their hands when they need it, and when we can fulfill those the problem sets for them. We have the ability to do tech assessments on their needs, on their problem sets, reach out through Julie and her team to industry to find industry partners that can help build those problem sets, and then also help them with the project management and acquisitions management to fulfill their needs. Oh, I see people are chatting in, dropping in, Brian, George, and Ashley. So if you have questions, throw them in there. Now I'll ask the first question we got. What opportunities do you provide for industry to engage with government customers? All you see on our current page is our current projects, and ones that are working that we've done, and it don't fit a small cyber business. I will turn that to Julie if you want to answer how we can engage industry on behalf of our government partners.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way, actually there's just several avenues. We always try to have a really solid problem statement. This is the tech or expertise that we're looking for. Easiest and fastest way that I get the information out there is truthfully through my LinkedIn. Just because it's quick, it's easy, and it gets out. We also will do email blasts. So I would highly recommend signing up to stay connected or connecting with us so you can get you onto that list because it's, again, the two fastest ways to get things out. From there, we also utilize the LinkedIn pages for both CyberWorx and CCTI, a Partnership Intermediary. I'm a big fan of networks, and if you see something and you're not a match for it, but you know somebody who is, I highly recommend, excuse me, having them apply or reach out. Excuse me, sorry about that. And I also welcome direct communication, whether you give me a call, you send me an email, send me a text. I'd rather you ask the question instead of sit and wonder what the answer is. So
we're actually very accessible. So you can go on the website and shoot. It's just like filling out a web form. Info at. It goes into a queue. Somebody will get it the right person same day. We usually get back to you same day. If you want to present something that we haven't put a call out for yet, we do that all the time. So, and then, we'll be more than happy to give advice to anybody who's just, I think I have something Air Force needs. Who should I talk to, and can you help me get to them? We'll do that.
Yeah, on the CyberWorx website, there's two buttons. There's one for industry and then one for government. So depending on what your needs are, if you're really just trying to get your technology in front of somebody, go ahead and hit the industry side. But of course, the other one is always available as well. So whatever works easiest for you.
I can take that Ryan Chow question if you guys want me to. Okay. We're a rapid innovation unit. We have our own contracting office. They're well experienced in the kind of new contracting activities like other transactional authorities and commercial solutions openings. We do SIBR and SITR. We help other people with their SIBR and SITRs, and follow-ons like Phase 2 supplemental, TAC 5, Strat 5 stuff, Phase 3s. If you have an end customer with funds, that's actually kind of how we work. We'll help do the matchmaking and get all the people right, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to want it and somebody's got to provide funds for it. Sometimes that could be two different organizations. Actually, it's really common for it to be two different organizations, but they can transfer the money to us, and we'll put it on contract on behalf of the end user, and the end user typically would provide oversight, help us write the RFP, statement of work, negotiate with the contractor. For the most part, we do for the kinds of innovation projects we do, they're firm fixed price, so we'll do a fair and reasonable assessment on the pricing. But yeah, that's what we do. If you have an Air Force end customer who doesn't have a contracting office, then or their contracting officer doesn't understand how to use some of these tools, which is common, then we will help them. We work with damn near every Air Force unit out there, Space Force, and almost every COCOM.
Ryan, if you do have that Air Force customer, they can find me, Duncan, in the GAL, in the Air Force email list. They can happily shoot us a text, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn here, and then I'll give you my email there, and we can connect that way, and then have them connect with us, and we can have the government-to-government discussion on the types of funds, what they're trying to do, and help them figure out an acquisition pathway. One of the things we also do when we try to get out there is more and more we're trying to interact with Air Force units in cyber, in intel, in the aircraft maintenance world, to get out there and directly work with them, find out who you're talking to, problem sets. You'll also find us the major Air Force events around the country. That's another way to connect with us, find us there if you happen to attend those, or just, again, here on LinkedIn, the other way. Then we have George Powell. What's the current problem priority list? What warfighter challenges is CyberWorx actively recruiting speed to work on right now? So our current challenge set, we are tied very heavily into the Department of War, CTO's 6 priorities, and also the DAF priorities. Tech being kind of the overarching umbrella of how to get the warfighters what they need. Actively right now. I think it was mentioned before, we're not going to be the end user. We're going to work with that Air Force organization. They're the ones who are looking for this to work on it. Again, it ties back to that warfighter and that guardian and airman that have the problem set. For Robert Seifert, with CyberWorx being a relatively small office, how do you stay on top of the challenging technology landscape, including emerging technologies for your customers? Again, it's us going out there to the customer, to the airmen, to the guardians, where they live and where they sit, at Langley, at Lackland, at Hickam, to talk to them directly to see what they're working on. Also engaging them in very other Air Force formats, other Department of the Air Force formats, on how they can bring it to us. We also work with, via Julie and her team, industry partners to bring those problem sets to us. So similar to Ryan's original question, he's got an Air Force customer. That's the way it comes to us, so we can engage on knowing what they're looking for.
Yeah, and once the government comes to CyberWorx and they kind of do the deep dive into what the actual need is, because it's often very high level to begin with, so there's a lot of discussion to figure out and drill down, hey, what do you actually need? And then once they have that solidified, then they send me out on the hunt to reach out to industry, do the research, do the networking to find those companies and people who have that technology and expertise.
So I think it's important to note that it all ties back to that end user, the airman guardian, boots on the ground is who has the problem sets. Ryan Chow, now in cyber clearances can quickly become an issue when trying to discuss the Gov customer specific problems. Do you have any guidance for the FCL chicken and egg problem for small businesses? We are working with AFRL to get a CRADA set up with DD254 attached while we wait for the contract to land. Brian, you hit the nail on the head. It's the chicken and the egg. You have to have that contract in place, or the agreement, in your case, the CRADA, in place that says you require that access. I wish I could give you a best practice answer, other than the only one I have is you have to have that agreement and the contract in place that has the requirement for it, and start that 254 and FCL process along the way. You're right, the clearances don't really come in, or the problem sets do require specialty cyber having that clearance, and until you have that, you don't really understand what they're looking for.
But the CRADA is a way to short circuit the process. If you have an AFRL customer who wants to sponsor your clearance, a CRADA is a no cost agreement, so it's a lot faster and easier to get the CRADA in place, and they can use that as justification for the DD254 while the contracting is going through. Maybe it's waiting on funding. We facilitate DD254s every day, so if you ever need help, let us know.
Happy to again have the government conversation. We can help them through the process at the same time. Although AFRL, if that's who you're working through, that's a lot of times we also have to go to on the contracting, especially sitter processes. If you have an Air Force organization that's not AFRL, not AFWorks, happy to talk to them and help them through the process.
And George, if you want to have the potential of getting involved as a subject matter expert, you can contact CCTI anytime you want. Make them aware of your resume. But Julie uses lots of tools to reach out to SMEs when we want them. We created a new vehicle that allows us to hire subject matter experts for any amount of time. Could be a 5-hour project, could be a 50-hour project, and we do it through the PIA. Julie facilitates the outreach to find the best candidates, but it's a very, very fast process to get assistance. So sometimes when we're evaluating time machines, we need a time machine expert, and they're not in-house. We'll reach out and say, hey, find us somebody that can help us for 20 hours to do a tech eval.
Absolutely. And if you want to, we actually utilize 2 different CRMs. There's one that's CCTI focused and one that's CyberWorx focused. So when you register to be an industry contact, your information also goes in there. So I know when I'm going out, just kind of canvassing what's in there, I can do a very specific search in either one of those systems to find the expertise or the technologies. So yes, that's probably, for the way your question is written, the best way to get in front of everybody and to kind of be not registered, I guess.
And I would I guess emphasize that if you're a subject matter expert helping us evaluate something, if you're part of a company, you're probably going to create a conflict of interest. So be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, and if you're a 1099 or a consultant, that would be the best bet if you wanted to be involved in this SME on-demand program.
Waiting on the next question, I will also add in there that we collaborate across the Department of War. So we are an Air Force, Department of Air Force organization, heavily focused on the Airman and Guardian, Air Force and Space Force. However, that's not just one problem set. Like the problem sets you have, particularly in cyber and C5ISR, where we actively engage, is across the whole Department of War. So while we are an Air Force organization, we happily and always want to work with our Army brethren, our Marine brethren, our Navy brethren, and to get the warfighters what they need, because it's not going to be just one solution that's all. And sometimes a sailor might have the right solution that the airmen need, and we want to know about that. So if you are working with other branches, other services, like we are happy to be the gov advocate for that discussion after we've met with you and then can meet with them.
and I'll go back a little bit to George's question about who sets our priorities and that kind of thing. Nobody sets our priorities. We are, primarily operational control under Air Combat Command. So if they ask us to do something, they're certainly going to go to the front of the line. But we don't go to a board every week and say, here's the top 10 things I want you to work on this week. That's not how it works. We function a lot more like a VC. We're out there reading tea leaves and talking to lots of people, industry and warfighters across all the branches, Air Force, Space Force, Joint, everything. We call up our friends. So if we're interested in a counter drone technology, we call up the other counter drone guys. We're on the weekly phone calls where there's 700 attendees across government on counter drone, and we know most of the research projects going on, and we'll collaborate. Sometimes we pool money. Navy put in some money, CENTCOM put in some money, we'll put in some money. So we look for bang for the buck projects. Our focus is on, we'll take something at any TRL level. Could be back a napkin idea, could be in the market working great, and it just needs to be painted black, TRL 9. But our goal is to get it in the form that the funding entity wants it in within 2 years. So we're field prototype guys. We're the try it experimental guys. We're not DARPA. We're not looking 10 years down the road. We're not an acquisition SPO. We're not trying to buy 1,000. We're an innovation unit. We're trying to quickly get some potential solutions, in the field tested. And I'll just give you some examples which might surprise you, because cyber's in our name, but cyber's like 5% of what we do. We've been involved in command and control, antenna integration, solar planes, software-defined wide area networks for command and control of air battle management. We're doing robotic boats for the Marines. We're doing robotic material handlers to move pallets. A lot of autonomy, a lot of counter UAS, lasers, sensors, comms, everything. AI, new computing architectures. I used to say we don't do ships, planes, or tanks, but we're kind of starting to do those things too. So I don't know what we wouldn't do at this point. We've ever done biomedical.
I always say that when, CyberWorx at this point in the game is more of a misnomer. When they first stood up in 2016, it was very focused on cyber. And since then, as they've evolved as an organization and have gone into the rapid acquisition fields and kind of just moved forward, it's really just cyber is just a piece of what they do. And it's really more going to be a cyberspace as opposed to specifically cybersecurity. So don't be afraid to submit your information or your technology just because it's not cyber. We still want to see it.
It does get confusing because there is an AFWorks there. AFWorks exists, SpaceWorks exists, and everybody thinks we're CyberWorks. We're just the third leg of the stool. That's not really how it works. We're friends with those organizations, but they have a totally different mission, totally different structure, and the way they do business. We're much more like freelancers. So and I would say that we've tried to build a reputation for being very friendly to industry. So we want to be very approachable. We go to all the trade shows. We host conferences. We invite people in the building. We'll take tech pitches. We probably take many hundred tech pitches a year, and you don't even have a customer yet. So we'll try to help you.
There's a question from George Powell. Is there a formal way to register with CCTI as an industry SME for outreach, or is it primarily relationship driven? Julie, I think that's probably best for you.
We pretty much answered that, though, I think.
Pretty sure we're
we saw that, and I gave him some ideas and some things, but I didn't answer the last part of it, is whether it's primarily relationship driven. It is not. It is strictly it's technology driven. It's need driven. So sometimes TRL level matters, and sometimes it doesn't. It's really, is your expertise in technology the right match to help solve for X?
I think he's asking about helping us evaluate somebody else's technology as a SME.
Yeah, well, he had that question, but also just connect with Julie for CCTI and their outreach.
Happy to help, George. Reach out to me anytime.
questions aren't. Hopefully, we're answering everybody's questions. If you have them, throw them in the chat. Great thing about being live is you get the questions right then and there. That we're not scripted.
Does anybody out there have any other questions? Unfortunately, if they don't go in the chat, we can't see them. So.
While we're waiting on questions, I can provide some general knowledge that is probably of interest to everybody. We have a commercial solutions opening out there that reads like a broad agency announcement. It basically says you can you can send us any idea at any time with a white paper and a quad chart. We'll look at it, we'll review it, and we'll reach out to our network to see if somebody's interested. So it's sort of like cold calling. We're perfectly fine with that. We get it all the time. If there is somebody of interest, then there's a couple other steps we can do. We can invite you in to present to a specific group, and at any time we can turn that into an RFP. Those broad topics are out there pretty much all the time. Everything I just mentioned, there's almost nothing we won't look at. Occasionally we put out focus topics, so set up alerts in sam.gov, and we'll say we're looking for a very particular thing. We don't leave the window open very long, so if you don't have alerts set up, you could miss it. So get good at setting up alerts.
Yeah, and a fun fact is that CyberWorx has had a CSO since 2019, so they have absolute full expertise in it. It's not a new shiny penny, so they really know what they're doing. So you can trust in them to evaluate and move forward quickly.
Yep.
And I know people are going to come in and out of this chat, so we do want to just remind people that we are going to do a live version of this at Red Leg Brewing tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. It's open to anybody. Please register. Julie can give you, or is it dropped in the comments?
We'll put the link in there.
Yeah, we'll put the link in there.
Yeah, if you're local to Colorado Springs or South Denver, or you want to make the drive from North Denver, we will be at Red Leg Brewing Company 4-6.
And Julie's buying all the drinks.
Yeah. I heard Duncan's buying all the drinks. Did my mic go out?
Yeah. You can bring your quad chart and your 5-page brief or Duncan to review.
Totally geek out.
Yep.
I'd also encourage you. Usually, the people who attend these kinds of meetings are early stage, novel, innovative companies. So the cyber world has changed a lot. So they're on a much tighter pace, and it's much more centralized control through Department of War. So they're coming out there's 6 of them coming out this year, basically every 30 days, and everybody's dropping them. So every 30 days, these huge numbers of cyber topics are coming out. So if you're interested in those, if you don't know how to, you don't really understand that world, you can obviously have AI teach you, but we're happy to help you a little bit too, point you in the right direction. But there's a tremendous amount of money being invested in RDT&E through the Department of War and all the services through the cyber vehicles. It's a great opportunity. Some of them are open topics where it says submit anything of interest to us, and most of them are specific topics where they're looking for a very specific kind of thing. So don't be afraid to apply. It's not that hard.
On Ashley's question, for the CSO that Duncan was mentioning and talking about, that is on sam.gov. The link has been dropped in there. And then we also did put the link for alerts for the event via LinkedIn. And you can sign up for CCTIs for Julie's teams and her email blast to keep abreast of what we're doing. When we put new focus areas on the CSO via sam.gov, we will also put that here on LinkedIn and our other social media channels. So if you give us a like and a follow, feel like the Instagram guy, but that is how you'll keep in touch with us. Ryan said, my cyber startup is awardable on Platform One Solutions Marketplace. Congratulations, Ryan. Are you familiar with it? Can you help us educate government customers on ways to leverage our awardable status to help with work with us? I'm assuming they still need to provide funds. Is Platform One Marketplace itself contract vehicle? My understanding PS1, P1, SM can be used in conjunction with CSO, BA, BA. Yes. Duncan, you want to dive into that one?
I mean, we can certainly try to help. Getting awardable is great. It does make things easier, but it's not marketing in most cases. You have to market yourself. If you're struggling with that, we can certainly give you some advice. But and yes, the answer is they still need to provide funds. And as you can imagine, the vast majority of the DOW budget is palmed. It's in a 5-year approval cycle, and that. But a lot of the RDT&E money is not, earmarked for certain projects. So there are discretionary funds out there. Cyber is a little bit tricky, so it kind of depends on what you're doing. If it's more standardized, somebody would probably use O&M funds for it. If you're on Platform One, that means you have a sellable solution already, and so people probably use O&M funds. O&M funds are tend to be the money that's a little tighter, because they got the money to spend it on a certain kind of annual pace of play, depending on what they are. If they're air wing, they're going to spend it on gas and bombs and things like that. If it's an office, then they have certain subscriptions they already subscribe to. So, but this is a good time of year because this is the unfunded requirements time of year. If you can get customers interested, they can put together a UFR, staff it up to their leadership, get in the queue, right? And then my advice would be, I don't know how you're structured with your pricing on Platform One, but you want to offer as many different types of funding price levels as is reasonable for what you're selling. So a light, medium, heavy, an enterprise level, a trial level, so if somebody only has $50,000 at the end of the year to try your thing, you don't want to be the $1 million guys, or you'll never get anything. So, that's what I would encourage you to do from a business development point of view is make it easy for somebody to try it with end of year funds.
Hey, Ryan, I'd actually like to have a conversation with you about that. Coincidentally, Platform One is one of the CCTI, Catalyst Camps for Technology and Innovation programs. So I might be able to get a little more insight. While I've heard of the marketplace, I'm not intimately involved in, or I don't know a lot about it other than just hallway conversations, but I'd like to, talk with you and see if maybe there's something that I can maybe get some information that might help you. So if you want to reach out to me, that'd be awesome.
From George Powell, how is CyberWorx thinking about agentic AI, specifically human-machine teaming validation and the governance layer? Is that an active problem area? It is an active problem area, and with some of our other government partners, we are just starting our discussions on that and how we're going to think about it. And it is a heavy topic of discussion over the last couple of weeks internally and with other folks who we're working on. Do we have a set way to move forward? No, we do not. Not this time. It is something we're very interested in.
As you can imagine, every DOW unit of almost every size, all the way down to in the Air Force, the squadron level, are trying to employ agentic AI for different things, automated workflows. It is tricky for governance because we can't, the rules of employing them are changing every day. You can get yourself in trouble by letting loose an agent on your network. So they're, but everybody's going through this, and I would say the what is it, Matt? The Joint AI
There is an AI task force out there
Task Force.
tied into.
We're all leaning on to help us with that guidance, but yeah, it's tricky. But we're doing it. It's just we're kind of nibbling, or we'll do it offline is the easiest way to do it right now. But as soon as you want to put it on a network, it does get problematic.
I would say for everybody's awareness that AI and autonomy in general is definitely a topic of interest across the DOW and across the federal government. So if that is something you're working in, something you're working on, like you're not in the wrong spot, you're not working on the wrong thing, and it is something that everyone's going to want to have a discussion with.
I'm curious from the people, the attendees, kind of what have been your pain points, or what do you think have been the biggest challenges in actually getting your foot in the door?
Agentic AI upskilling for service members. Nessa Funk at FCA has been discussing a way to upskill cadets and service members, even new hires and contractors. There are plenty of free training. What they seem to need as an ordered list of hyperlinks and workshops to help them over their roadblocks. An objective is to give them an intuitive feel for how AI works and when to question replies. That's very true. I know for the cadets here at the Air Force Academy, they are starting that as part of their curriculum, is how to use AI and how it's tied into what will be their day-to-day life when they graduate, commission, and move out into the Air Force and Space Force.
And I agree. And I think a lot of not only industry, but government folks are really looking for about this around the strategy of using AI, not the okay, let's go do something in it, but really what should you be doing, what shouldn't you be doing, and how should you be doing it. So I'm hearing a lot more of that from just across the board. Yes,
Brian's saying funds and clearances are pain points. You and everybody else.
I wish I could disagree.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you. I think I can maybe provide a few tips and tricks. On the clearance side, it is helpful. By the way, I did about half my life in government acquisition world and RD world, and about half on your side of the fence. So, I mean, I've had to go through this, but there's a few tips and tricks, like reach out to your network, get some advisors on your board advisors, or paid consultants, but guys who maintain active relationships with people who sponsor clearances. If you have a guy who just retired out of SOCOM or whatever, that can be helpful, because that's just the nature of how the world works. Is if they have a friend back from their active duty days who could help facilitate that, they can call them up and go, hey, I've stumbled across this really good technology. I think they're onto something. Would you take a presentation from them? And if you like it, they really need to hear some of your, classified problems. I'm aware of some classified problems. I can't tell them that yet because I have clearances, but based on my awareness, I think they would have an application that would be nice, but they need to have a classified conversation with you. When a trusted person in somebody's network asks for that kind of assistance and says, based on what I heard, and their opinion is valued, that can help open doors too. And there are ways to talk at an unclassified level to validate whether you need a clearance to take your technology to the next level. So I would encourage you to think through that. A friend of a friend could probably get you, a conversation going. DD-254s are not that difficult to get if the thing that you're bringing to them is truly needed. If they want it bad enough, they'll accelerate a DD-254. So you just got to make them believe that. Now on the funding side, this is a whole presentation in of itself, but the world has changed. The military's innovation funding is different now. I think it's more free flowing. There are more open topics, more CSOs, commercial solutions openings out there. So keep trying. It is a little bit of a numbers game, and I would say that there are, this gets a little trickier, but there are a lot more defense tech venture capitalists out there now than there were 5-10 years ago. I think there's over 300 now. There maybe used to be, 10 years ago there were maybe 10 dominant ones, and they're relatively small funds. So tens of billions of dollars have gone into the venture capital community to invest in early stage defense tech startups. I would say don't be afraid of them. Talk to them, and it's not that hard to find them. Type it into any AI tool, and the list of 300 will come up pretty easily. Because if you look at what Anduril did, they weren't the only ones, but they're probably most known. They raised a lot of venture capital, brought in a lot of guys who kind of knew the problem sets, and they started building solutions before there was an RFP. And that enabled them to grow much faster than waiting on a Cyber Phase 1 award, for example, and then a pause, and then waiting on a Cyber Phase 2, and then a pause, and waiting on a Phase 3. So I would say a lot of the early stage defense tech companies have picked up on that, and you raise venture capital so you can spend your own money on developing products instead of just waiting on the government. I would go after government funds too, but it's not an either or, it's both.
From Ryan, we have multiple Air Force end customers who want to work with us, but have trouble finding the funds. It's not clear to me if they have no funds, so we're reliant on SIPR, or if they just don't know where to find the funds to move over. I would say, Ryan, that's a little bit of at what level the organization's at, if they have funds or if they don't know how to find the funds. It does take time for funds to trickle down once released and move down to some of the lower organizations. And Cyber Funds is a kind of a way around that, and it's a great tool for kind of the mid-level organizations to get those funds to move through and develop the tools that they need to fill their problems. There are other avenues, and those avenues open up a little bit as you move up in the chain to some of the higher level wing, numbered Air Force, major commands, to get the funds that they're looking for, to get them released from DOW, to help them out. The funds are out there. It's a little bit of a search and a hunt on both your customer, your end user customer, and yourself to help find those. Organizations like CyberWorx, like Catalyst Campus, are good at helping to find those and making those connections in the Air Force. Army X-Tech, Army Fuse, and Army Pit on the Army side are great other partners of ours that can do it through the Army, and then through the Department of War, the OUSW, OTST, Office of Science and Tech is another one to help kind of find those non-cyber funds that are available. That, as Duncan mentioned, now's a good time of year because it does get released. This is about the time of year that it starts to get released, and then you have another fight of trying to find the acquisition pathways and the contract analysis that can help you get those contracts in place using those funds.
It's not an uncommon problem for you find an end customer who's a little bit lower down the totem pole, a wing, a squadron, a group, or something like that, and they don't know how to ask for innovation funds or RDT&E funds. If you want to put them in touch with us, we can help coach them through that. But as Matt mentioned, OUSW, R&E, and ANS, the Research and Engineering Group and the Acquisition and Sustainment Group, probably have the biggest pockets, and they're taking requests from government agencies all the time. You know, like, hey, some Air Force guy wants something new. They go through their chain and they get it up to OUSW, and that's actually one of the most substantial ways to get it. You know, there's dozens of different ways to get funds. If you want to drop in the chat, like a specific type of unit, I could tailor the answer a little more.
We know there's a bit of a delay, so give them just a second.
Yeah, give some time. So I think, and this is where industry becomes a little bit more the important partner of not just having the technology or the prototype or something to help solve the problem. You're also the kind of the hunter to help them find the funding available, doing a lot of the legwork that, you know, as a uniformed person or as a government person, they're not really able to do or know where to look and start doing that because they're focused on their one job, their tool set, their operation set that they're working on. This is where you become a very important partner of finding and making those connections for them to have different gov-to-gov conversations with the funding organizations, and then that's a dual benefit for you.
Okay, Ryan, I see you're talking about the squadron level. That was my suspicion. So feel free to put them in touch with us, and you know, we can help them navigate finding the money. It'll probably be outside their chain of command, but they need to go through their chain of command. But the you know, classic squadrons you know, have a very, very tight O&M budget. They have no RDT&E for trying anything new, but we can coach them through that.
Yeah, and for everybody's sake, I mean, so CCTI, or Catalyst Campus for Technology and Innovation, as a nonprofit, doesn't have a dog in the fight. We want to get the things in the hands of the warfighter, help protect those that protect us, right? Same thing with CyberWorx as an innovation hub. That's their goal as well, is to make sure that the people who need the things have the things. So I would encourage everyone to, you know, reach out, ask the questions, see if CyberWorx can make the connections from government to government, if I can make the connections from industry to industry or industry to CyberWorx. That's how we get things done.
I'd also point out that there as a follow-on to some of my, you know, how the world's changed with defense tech, the combatant commands have started to have a lot more power and influence at getting RDT&E funds for innovations. In the old days, they maybe had a few $million a year, but that's definitely changing. It's in the hundreds of millions now, and they're very powerful, you know, because it's joint, it's a 4-star, it's frontline. You know, in the old days, the COCOMs were relying on the services to provide all the technologies, and all the budgets went through the services. But the COCOMs, either through OUSW level or DIU, are getting money directly for funding the technologies, and then integrating those into some of their large exercises and, you know, T-Rexes, the different kind of field tests. So I wouldn't be afraid of, you know, going to the COCOMs. One good entry point at most of them is the S&T directorates.
And I see a question here about whether George wants to know if we're sending out a transcript of this. Personally, I honestly think that's probably an answer for you, or a question for you.
She said she doesn't think so.
Okay.
No, we are not transcribing this one. There's not the transcription option for it. I think I don't know if LinkedIn will leave the questions still up, and we're happy to follow up on any of those afterwards.
LinkedIn will keep this video as a post on our feed, so you are welcome to revisit it at any time.
Yeah, you may have to just play it and let something else record it. Let your phone record it or something like that.
Let Jim and I record it. great use of the tools that are available, George.
Somebody needs to be added to the chat. I don't know how to do that. Is that Katie or Kirsten able to do that?
We got it. We're just going to put our contact info in there. Yep. Is this the event tomorrow evening at CCTI? So that, Julie, we have a separate one than the CCTI Industry Night at Beer Garden, correct? Yeah.
That is a separate event. So both of them are great. They're overlapping. So I think whichever one you choose to go to, I think you're going to have a good time and get a lot of really good information. But just basically keep an eye on the weather because it's not supposed to be very nice. So bring an umbrella.
Yeah.
And Katie went ahead and put my email address in the chat as well. So if you want to reach out directly, you're still welcome to go through LinkedIn or any other channels, but you have options.
And all 5 of us are on LinkedIn. You can find us there. And you have Julie's email address, so definitely email her there, and she will get that to us. Doesn't say who it is. Is the government contact form the best way for an ANG member to connect and learn about future opportunities, orders, signals? Yes, as an ANG member, you can do that, or you can find me and Duncan in the GAL. And if you're looking for more of the civilian roles, that's also the way. You can just send us an email. We're in the us.af.mil.
Yeah, and we are hiring, so we will have advertised civilian positions. There's some out there now. There's more coming. We bring in Guard and Reserve all the time. We have a partnership with ArcWorks, the Air Reserve component. Guard and Reserve, kind of friend version of us. Their deputy office is with us here in Colorado Springs. Their main office is down in Tucson. They have more mandates than we do, but they have shown a lot of interest in funding people to come work for either in Tucson or here in the our Colorado Springs office, and we'll even we'll share. Like, they do some ArcWorks projects, they do some CyberWorx projects. Our biggest interest is in the for Guard and Reserve is operational roles, intel, ops, maintenance, airbound management, those kind of folks, cyber, or the acquisition world. So contracting, finance, acquisition program management, those are, we always have a need, and we usually can find the days. We do like them to work here when they're working with us. In some cases, depending on time of year, ArcWorks will fund the positions through their mandates, and we will, if needed, fund the TDY if it's an out of local area Guard Reserve. We do not have any permanent positions. I guess that might be also a question. We don't have any permanently assigned guard reserve slots. We do all man days. The civilian positions usually do get advertised through LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn,
and they should be on USA Jobs.
Yeah.
I hear USA Jobs is a bear, but that's really where everything goes. So I would definitely just keyword search CyberWorx or ArcWorks.
long pauses of a
Yeah.
live call.
Any additional questions for everybody? We've got about 5 minutes left, and happy to help any way we can.
And then Katie, there's a registration link too, right?
Yes, Duncan, there is one. She'll probably post it here in just a second.
Okay.
If you haven't been to the location, it's really nice. It's big and open, food, everything's there. So indoor, outdoor opportunities and options there. So even if the weather does get a little wet, then we can still be inside.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you scroll through the comments, it's in there a couple times too.
Yep.
Anything any of us want to add about the programs or where we, being homed at the Air Force Academy and the new Madeira Cyber Innovation Center?
Well, I give a little bit of overview of Madeira in the last minute or two here. We do occupy one floor of the new Madeira Cyber Innovation Center at the Air Force Academy. It's very easy to access. One of the floors is kind of cadet, and it's electrical engineering and computer science labs, a lot of advanced labs, autonomy, telecommunications, ICS SCADA, security controls. We occupy one of the floors. It's a big meeting space, so a lot of our friends in the military use this space to do their events. We do host industry days here, usually put on by CCTI. So look out, keep a watch out on LinkedIn when we do those. It's a great facility. We operate a skiff in the basement. So we'll host the 4-star event here with Corona. We have a lot of SpaceCom events. There's a lot of 3- and 4-star general officers running around here constantly. So it's a good community, industry collaboration space.
All right. Well, we have 1 minute left. I just want to say thank you for everybody that joined. I think the comments will still be up there, and the video will still be posted on our LinkedIn site. And then we look forward to seeing everybody at Red Lake tomorrow afternoon. Weather dependent, but we'll be there. So,
Yes, thank you all very much for joining us, and I'm learning a lot more about Air Force CyberWorx and Catalyst Campus for Technology and Innovation. If you have any questions after this event, please absolutely reach out.
All right, signing out.